I'm at Divertimenti Marylebone High St for the Divertimenti Culinary Salon Women in Food, and it's my pleasure to welcome Allegra McEvedy. Thank you for joining us. And I have this big, beautiful book, Big Table, Busy Kitchen. It's fabulous.
It's big.
I mean, you were busy. There's, what, 200 recipes in here?
Yeah, well, I mean, the whole point of the book was it was kind of a book for life, that if you were only going to need one book, this would kind of cover everything from vinaigrettes to roast beef to, fish cakes, anything you would need. So I kept thinking, God, I've got to put that in it. And so it started out at 120 and then it just built and built
Before
and built.
you knew it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I was reading this, I have to admit, I was reading the introduction on the tube, and I started to get kind of teary because there's an amazing story about your mom and her recipe notebook, and I hope you don't mind me asking, but to share it, it's incredible.
Well, it is. It's incredible and incredibly sad, but also has produced something positive. Yeah. So, no, my mum had a recipe book that I think a lot of people, it seems, that had a parent or someone they knew who had a book like this. It was their collection, so taken out of magazines or newspapers or things that their friends had given them and jotted down. And this was her collection, so it wasn't a book by Elizabeth David or by Claudia Roden, like most of the others on the shelf. This was her book, and it was split into things. So this is the 70s, so it was things like sort of hot hors d'oeuvres and soufflés and it was all, exactly, all these gorgeous chapters that is, and it was orange and it was squidgy covered. And it was an old photo album, and it was gloriously used and sort of batter splattered and wonderful. And it was the one that we used to pick down the most on the shelf. And anyway, then when I was 17, my mum died, which was she was a great cook, and it was something that I'd always spent a lot of time doing with her, and then I became a chef. And in the way that when someone dies, their stuff just sort of gets split amongst those who loved them, and that was just something that was obviously going to come to me because my sister's useless in the kitchen. Not useless, full stop. Well, maybe she is useless, but anyway, she's certainly useless in the kitchen. Yeah, cut. And actually, she's so useless she can't work the internet, so that's fine too.
She'll never know.
She'll never know. So the book came to me, and it was I took it around from flat to flat as I moved around in my 20s, and it was sort of this bond between mother and daughter, even though she wasn't here anymore. These were her recipes, and I was a chef, and it was all kind of very, it was a proper tie. And then when I was doing one of my books, the Leon book, I really wanted it to have a kind of slightly homey feel, so I took it into my publishers, and I said, just to show them and say, look, I'd like it to look, obviously it can't look like this, but have this kind of feel coming from it. And unfortunately, the designer was sick that day, and my lovely editor said, look, I'm going to put it somewhere safe, and can I show it to him tomorrow? And I said, okay, but just do know that if my house catches on fire, this is one of the 3 things that I would grab. She said, no, I understand. And the next day I got this phone call from her saying, big pause, and then she said, look, Allegra, I don't know how to say it. The cleaners came in the night, they cleaned up. I put the book under my desk for safekeeping, and they've thrown it away because it was tatty and it looked, she said, and we've done everything we can this morning, but it's currently on a barge halfway up the Thames heading for a landfill. Nothing we can do. And the really interesting thing was that by that point my mum had been dead about 15 years, 16 years, and I don't know if you've ever lost someone close to you, but I went through all of the stages of grief again. I went through, sort of anger and the guilt, and as in I shouldn't have lent it to them, and sort of fury, and and then just this immense sadness came over me. That it was gone. Like when someone dies, you have that feeling of you are never going to look into their eyes, you're never going to hear that laugh, you're never going to feel their physical presence. That's just all gone in an instant. There are things that stay with you, but there are many things that just are gone at that precise moment, and I had that all over again, and I kind of never really reconciled with that. It was sort of a sense that if it was supposed to have been lost, it should have been lost by my sister or I, someone in the family. So it kept coming back to me over the years, and then I had a child of my own. My little daughter Delilah, and one night when she was little, like about 8 months old or something, she was crying away in the night, and I picked her up and I brought her into the bed, and she did that sort of, and her breathing settled down, and she was all nuzzled up, and so by this point she's fast asleep, I'm wide awake, dawn's breaking, as many parents know in that position, and for some reason my mum's book came back to me at that point, and I just suddenly thought, actually, you know what, because I've always been a bit of a doer, and I thought, actually, I'm going to try and sort of right this wrong. I don't want it to be bothering me for the next 50 years of my life. I want to try and do something about it. So cut a long story long, that's why I wrote the book, because it's kind of my recipe collection, my cutouts, except it's printed for Delilah for life.
Amazing. And it's amazing.
Sorry about the length of the answer.
No, but it's such an incredible story, and when you see what's come of it, it's incredible. Because it's
Well,
a great book with fabulous recipes.
I hope so. I'm very proud of it.
As well you should be. Thank you for joining us at the Culinary Salon.
I'm so excited. I can't wait.
It's good fun.
Thank you. Thanks.